You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
I want to start today's podcast episode with just a great debt of gratitude and appreciation for those of you who have taken the opportunity to reach out to me with the positive feedback that I've received in the last several episodes where I've shared the insights of some storage mastermind calls that I've been a part of and some of the insight and feedback that has been given on those calls, and talking about the difference between quitting and stopping, interviewing, best practices, and how to find talented A players. And what I'd like to do is, because of the overwhelming feedback I've received, and again, I so appreciate you guys, whether you provide feedback or not, or leave a review, just the fact that you're taking the time to better yourself and you've chosen the Flip Empire Show as one of the platforms, one of the vehicles to help get you from where you are to ultimately where you want to go, wherever that may be. I want to go ahead and expound upon and kind of tie it all in, the theme of the last 3-4 episodes here. And what I'd like to do is kind of go back to recent. Just yesterday, I was on another mastermind call. And if you haven't noticed the theme here, I reference these mastermind calls. I reference the communities that Steve and I lead with Ascend and the communities that I'm a part of, because of the relationships that are built, but because of the value that's extracted and the value that's contributed. And success to me boils down to happiness. It boils down to being happy with where you're at, but there's also a fine balance with continuing to remain hungry and ambitious and striving towards becoming the man or woman you're meant to be, becoming the best version of yourself you could possibly be, because we're capable of much more than what we've put out. But at the same time, you need to be happy with where you're at right now, right? So it's this fine balance. But what I'd like to do is just kind of share with you that recently I'm excited to announce, over the last couple of weeks, my part-time assistant and team member has come on board full-time. And she's come on board because she's got some big goals. I have determined that they're very aligned with mine and the goals of the company, the goals of what we're striving for on the storage side of the business. And we work so well together that I know I can help her grow and achieve her goals, and vice versa. We work really well together. And so I've cast a vision of big enough that her vision can grow with mine, in conjunction with mine, and that we can make 1 + 1 = 10. And in part of doing that is setting her up for success. And the reason I share this with you is because when I talk to investors, storage investors, wholesalers, fix and flip investors, when I talk to entrepreneurs in general, and I ask them, hey, what's the pain point you're experiencing right now? What's the challenge that you have that you might be looking to solve, or that maybe that I could contribute to? It's not capital. It's not necessarily even growing or scaling. It's human resources. It's people. It's team members. It's avoiding turnover. It's taking the time to find the right person. It's setting them up for success. So what I'd like to do is just kind of share some of the insight that I got from a storage mastermind call that I was a part of yesterday. And this is a different one that I shared. And I went ahead and revealed that now my team member is full-time, and I'm having her focus a lot of her time on the storage side of the business, specifically when it comes to marketing, lead generation, then eventually acquisitions. And we've already begun the training process. So we've been training the last several days, and we have a very specific training onboarding game plan to get her up to speed to storage. And it's interesting because I spent 15, 16 years in the residential space. And over the prior to 2021, I spent really 7-8 years building a team. And I was very dialed in to my KPIs, right? The key performance indicators. What are the metrics that the team has to hit on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to achieve our quarterly rocks, which is going to lead to our 1-year goal? You may have heard me reference and talk about that a couple of episodes ago. And I was really dialed in on a handful of KPIs that we would track on our level 10 meetings on a weekly basis. The number of leads that were generated, the number of appointments that were set, offers and or appointments that we completed, contracts that we got, AB contracts, BC contracts, and then ultimately closings. At one point, we were even measuring how many testimonials we were collecting on a monthly basis. And some of those are leading, some of those are lagging, but those KPIs, generally speaking, a coach of mine years ago told me, and he painted this picture for me. He said, Alex, where's your favorite place to go? And at the time, I remember this was prior to our epic family Greek island hopping vacation last year. But prior to that, I mentioned the Greek Isles because I had been there before and I loved it so much. And he goes, all right, well, pretend you're Mykonos, so Santorini, and pretend you're on your favorite beach and you're sitting in a hammock or you're laying in a hammock between two palm trees and you're overlooking the water, and just imagine the scenery however you possibly could. He even had me close my eyes, as corny as that may sound, but I really got into this mode of visualization. And he said, now imagine that you were really thirsty and a waiter came to you or a waitress came to you with the drink that you wanted to, the drink you wanted to enjoy. It was a hot summer day. You're in this Greek island and you're on the beach and they bring you this drink, and the drink is sitting on a napkin, and the napkin has some writing on it. And what it tells you is the health of your business. You haven't checked in with your team. You've been away. You've been traveling with your family for several months. You're getting some alone time right now, just kind of disconnect and, just enjoying yourself. On your left hand, you're holding your drink. You sit up in the hammock. And on the right, you look at this napkin. On this napkin can only be certain numbers. What numbers? What has to be on that napkin to tell you the health of your business? And at that moment, it was kind of all crystallized for me. And that's how we established and came up with our KPIs for the wholesaling operation. And yet, over the course of the last week or so, I've really been thinking about the older I get and the more seasoned I get in business, the simpler I want things to be. In other words, I'm not looking for complicated systems. I'm not looking for complex or elaborate or fancy automation. I'm looking for let's just keep things simple. And I started asking myself, what are the KPIs that I need to have my team member, who again is now full-time focused on the storage business? And yes, she helps me with some other things, but primarily on the storage side of the business, what are some of the KPIs, the things that I can hold her accountable to that can help her grow, reach her goals that are aligned with the company goals? And I was kind of not stuck, but I was thinking about all the different things. And I challenged myself. I said, I want to keep it simple and let me crowdsource, because I'm on this mastermind call with 13, 14 other very smart individuals. I want to kind of crowdsource what are some of the thoughts that people have from a KPIs perspective. And I want to go ahead and share with you a lot of the things that they shared with me. And then ultimately what it boiled down to, what the big takeaway of this, what the ultimate reveal was. And I had people share with me, and I'm so grateful for all the feedback, because, by the way, there's no wrong answers here. These are all right. But what I wanted to do is boil it down to one or two main KPIs. And I had people share with me, okay, well, build a list of facilities based on your criteria, right? So like ground up list building. That's one thing. I also got feedback based on the number of phone connections per day. I got feedback on the quality of the conversations, or how many leads are generated. Some people even shared how many outbound calls that person can make, the number of actual conversations with live owners. So I got a variety of feedback as far as the KPIs, but here's what it ultimately boiled down to. Somebody on the call said, the only thing that matters is having conversations with the people who have the things you want. And that's the big reveal here. That's the main KPI. And that's what I'm hoping you take away from this episode. So regardless of whether you're in the storage business, you're a wholesaler, fix and flip investor, maybe you own and operate businesses outside of real estate, whatever it is, if you had to simplify your KPIs and you had to come up with one or two KPIs, you were on an island, you were on a mountain, you were in your favorite destination, and somebody brought to you on a piece of napkin and they brought to you one or two numbers, or they brought to you something small enough that could fit on a cocktail napkin that told you the health of your business, or that told you the main driver to help you get from where you are to where you want to go, what is it? I pause so that you actually stop and think about that for a second, but chances are it boils down to the fact that the only thing that matters is having conversations or connecting with the people who have the things you want. So I want to kind of leave you on this episode with that. I want to keep this short and sweet, because for me, it was really crystallized at that point. And now I'm having a conversation with my team member about how many quality conversations, how many connections are we having with the storage owners, the mom and pop owners who have the types of facilities that we're looking to buy and hold. it's been simplified now. I'm not trying to complicate it with all these different marketing channels and all this different lead gen. Yes, that's important. And yes, that will come. But at the end of the day, if I know we're having enough quality conversations and connections with the decision makers, the owners, I know that our success is inevitable, because it just boils down to consistency over time. You keep doing enough of the right actions. And if the effort is there and the results aren't coming, it's a skill challenge. And that challenge is usually easy to overcome, right? That just happens with training. The effort is what needs to be there. The skill can be sharpened, and that can be improved. So remember, I just want to leave you that the only thing that matters is having conversations with the people that have the things you want. So I want to leave you with that. I look forward to connecting on the next episode. And thank you once again for tuning in. And for those of you who have taken an opportunity to leave a review, who have shared the show, and for those of you who have reached out about Ascend, our mastermind community, which just continues to improve by the day. And just a few short weeks, we're going to be at a all-inclusive 5-star resort in Dominican Republic. So I cannot wait for that. If we're not connected on social media, make sure that we are, so that you can follow along and just kind of experience it from afar if you're not part of Ascend. So with that being said, reach out if you do have any questions about that, ascendyoursuccess.com, and I will touch base on the next episode. Have an amazing day, my friend. Hope you enjoyed that episode. But before you go, I've had a lot of people recently reach out to me wanting to learn more about Ascend, wanting to understand how the mastermind component works, how the coaching relationship works. And so right now we're actually on a waiting list. But what I would encourage you to do is, if you think you're the right fit and you think you could benefit from being a part of our community, head over to ascendyoursuccess.com, watch the short video, and then just click the apply to join button below. And then we'll be in contact with you if and when a spot opens up. So really appreciate you listening to Flip Empire here, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Take care.